Today's video is gonna be very different from all the other ones. I'm actually gonna try to have a deeper conversation with you guys. It's not a direct one because I'm not talking to you directly, but I hope that you're gonna like this video as much as you have been liking the other ones. I really hope you do. And often with the simplest things, you get the most, it's kind of interesting. Sometimes you try to do very difficult stuff, and sometimes you try to do things which are very complex, which are very sophisticated, but then in the end you find out that the most successful things are actually the ones that are the simplest. It is an interesting thing, and it is something which we will discuss, but I'm actually going to share my story to some degree. I'm going to talk about me a little bit, but more importantly, I'm going to try to connect with you. I'm going to try to reach out to you. I'm going to try to do that in today's video, guys. So I actually, before starting to talk about politics and talking about the US election especially, I got kind of, I wouldn't say addicted, but I am very interested in the US election now, and it's an interesting topic. Before talking about that, I was actually making kind of different videos. In my bio, I've written on a journey to inspire the world, and yes, we are on a journey to inspire the world. That is true. We are on a journey to inspire the world. But today I would actually like to talk about, some things as teenagers, because some things have been happening in the last few months to me which have been interesting. And if there are some older people who have some advice for me, and especially for all the other young dudes who are gonna comment hopefully in this video, that would be really appreciated. So the title of this video is gonna be somewhat what really matters in life, something like that. And I wanna talk about it because in the last months I've been thinking about it a lot more than I used to. So it is normal to have some sort of discussions with yourself, especially when you are a teenager, when you're that young. I've not been having problems, let's just make this clear. I'm not, in some sort of, I'm not going crazy. I'm fine, it's me. I've always said I'm not normal, which is true. I think I'm built different. That's something I always say. In fact, one of my series is called Built Different. It is literally called that. But I want to talk about this, I want to address this issue. And for everybody who doesn't know this, I'm 16 years old. I just turned 16 a couple of weeks ago, actually. I was supposed to make a video about it, and I actually recorded that video, but I didn't want to upload it. I was lazy about it, and now I'm not going to upload it because it's 20 days after that, so it doesn't make much sense. So that video, you're never going to see it. You just saw a short when I was, talking about it. But what really matters in life? So school in my country started a couple of weeks ago, and since then I have been talking about it a lot, and I have been saying that I find school to be boring and fake and also gay. Let's be clear, this is not homophobia, guys. I just use it as a joke with my friends. I just say school's boring and gay, and I use it as a joke, and it is fine. I don't think it's a big issue. I don't think that I should be crucified for using that word in that way. I don't think it's homophobia. But regardless of that, I find school to be really boring and really fake to some degree, and in general there are very few things which I now find to be really important. I had a very big reflection a couple of months ago, actually. I think it was in April, after something big happened to me, and I thought about what's interesting and what's important in life, what really matters in life. And I remember that conversation really well. That's a conversation I had with myself. I was thinking about, what really matters. And since then, I got closer and closer to God. In fact, if I had to give a piece of advice to you, it would be to turn to Jesus and turn to God. Christ is King, may God bless him. I am a Christian, I would say this. I'm not going to talk about Christianity very often because I'm not an expert in that regard, and I would be rather upset if I were to even make the slightest of mistakes regarding such an important topic. So you're not gonna hear me talking about Christianity. But guys, what's really important in life? I feel like there are very few things which are really important in life. And actually, another thing I'd like to add, I'm not, and we're not gonna get to that question probably, so this is more or less a general reflection we will have today. Answers will not be given probably, but regardless of that, I think that your friends are really important. I think that God and religion, I find it to be really important. And let's talk about friends, especially, and of course your family, but I want to talk about friends. Because I think that when you are a teenager, that's the time teenagehood is interesting. Because when you're a teenager, you are more or less as smart as an adult. Let's leave it there. You're not like a child who's naive. You are capable of making great decisions, although we're juvenile and we make loads of mistakes, but that's life. Humans are fallible, so even adults make mistakes. We're not going to pretend that only teenagers and kids make mistakes, because that would be asinine. But it's a very interesting age, because when you're a child, your life depends on your parents, depends on the people who are close to you, on your family. On the other hand, when you're a teenager, it still depends on them. But it's an interesting time because you have a mind which is developed. You can think of things, you can think about things, and you have ideas, you have ambition. And I believe that modern society, I'm not talking about anybody specifically, I'm talking about modern society as a whole. I believe it wants to suppress the dreams that teenagers and young people have. That's something I believe is true. I'm not saying that the young generation isn't lazy. I have criticized it a lot of times. I've made videos about it in the past, and I still criticize it a lot. But I do believe, to be quite honest with you guys, that there is some sort of society as a whole isn't doing great things to the young generation, and that's for XYZ reasons. But let's not divert too much and let's remain focused on the issue of the video. What really matters. I think that when you are teenagers, you start to have friends which you will probably be friends with for years. I imagine that in 10 years I will be friends with 2 or 3 people, and with two or three of the people I already know. There are very few people which I genuinely trust and which I think I'll be friends with even in 10, 20 years. Those are the people I think would take a bullet for me and I would take a bullet for them. That's the kind of friendship I think we should all aspire to have. That's the kind of relationship we should all aspire to have. A kind of relationship where you and the other person involved in the relationship are willing to take a bullet for the other guy. That's the kind of relationship that you should all aspire to have, I believe. But when you're a teenager, you start to have serious friendships, I would argue, especially if you don't do asana and stuff. If you're a teenager and you're listening to this, just a couple of things: don't consume alcohol, don't smoke, don't vape. It's even worse than smoking, I would argue. Don't do drugs. Don't do any of those dumb things. That's just a piece of advice for you. It's really important that you don't do those things. Donald Trump says it all the time, and he's right about it. Don't do those things because it's very bad, and you might not recover from it. There are loads of guys who now smoke. There are loads of 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old smokers, alcohol drinkers, who have had their lives and their health severely damaged by those addictions that they have been, carrying with them ever since they were teenagers. So don't do those things, guys. Don't do them. We will talk about hedonism. Don't buy into hedonism. Don't do that dumb stuff. In order to have fun, you do not need smoking, you do not need vaping, you do not need alcohol, and you do not need drugs. You don't need it. If you want to have fun, do it. Go it out. Maybe it's something. Stay with your friends. Have some sort of genuine conversation. Make jokes. Do those kind of things, but don't do the things which I said before. It's important not to do them, because if you start doing them at such a young age, it will affect you until you die. That's just the truth, and it's important that you don't do those things. So I wanted to say this, but nonetheless, I think friends are genuinely important, and I feel like that now. I feel like that I'm in a situation where I only care and where I'm only thinking about making it with my boys, if that makes sense. I'm dreaming of becoming the person I want to become with the people close to me, with them. I'm dreaming I'm dreaming to do certain things with them. That's the only thing I genuinely care about, because I go to school and I feel it's boring. I genuinely do believe it is boring. There are very few things which I like about school. Almost no things I like. To be fair, there is almost nothing I like about school. I feel it is boring. I feel it is fake. I just feel it. I can't explain to you why. I can't give you reasons. I mean, I can give you reasons why it is boring. It is more difficult for me to give you reasons why I find it to be fake, but I just happen to believe, I just happen to find it fake. That's just the truth. That's just the way I feel. So that's just the way I feel. And let me know if you have this issue too, especially if you go to school like I do. But in the last months, I've been thinking only about, making it with my friends, with the people I really care about. I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that only. School, I find it boring, fake, and gay. Again, the gay part is more used as a joke. I use it as a joke. I don't mean to offend anybody. I want to just make this clear. So, and that's cool, as I said. So I feel like what really matters in life is the people who are close to you. That's what really matters. And I genuinely think about that only. And I'm in this position now, which is very interesting, where I spend hours thinking about, my friends and what I want to do with them. And by the way, I have very few friends. I mean, I don't talk to many people. I don't have problems with socializing. I mean, I'm an introvert, but that's true, but that's not an issue for me. But I don't have problems with socializing. However, I do speak with very few people. I speak regularly with 2 or 3, 4 people. That's the amount of people I speak with regularly. I don't speak with more people than that. And that's for XYZ reasons, but literally I've just been thinking in the last months, I have just been thinking about making it with them, becoming, friends forever and doing great things together. One of my dreams, guys, is to become this sort of hero, and that's why in my bio I have written on a journey to inspire the world. That's why that's written there. It is written there because I want to become the sort of hero who tries to expose the corruption that there is at the upper echelons of society. I want to become the person who exposes that and, shares it with the populace, if that makes sense. And I've been thinking about leaving and going through this journey with my friends. That's the only thing I genuinely care about. I am in this very interesting situation. That's why I'm trying to become popular on the internet, if that makes sense. So I do believe that really matters in life. But in this video, I also wanted to talk about another few things. And I also wanted to expand on why I feel like things are becoming more and more fake as we speak. And I also want to talk about how and why I just think about making it with my friends. So as I said, I find school to be very fake and very boring. It is just the truth. I find, stupid conversations to be fake and boring. I'm not entertained by those things. I find, I don't like consuming. I don't like consuming movies. I don't like consuming that kind of stuff. I don't like watching movies. And I don't like to watch videos either. Although I do it, I shouldn't do it. I see it in that way. But, I don't like it. I find it boring. I find it very fake. And I just want to know, guys, this is a question I have. Are you also in this kind of situation? And I would like to hear stories from peers of mine, from people who are as old as I am, or older or younger. It would be very interesting to hear from you. I would really like it. I would really be open to having conversations with you guys. I think it would be really great. I think we would enjoy it a lot. But truthfully, my conclusion and the answer I would give to this question is, so I made a video about the 3 things which really matter in life, and I will, list them again now. I said that what really matters in life are the following 3 things. So the first one, God, and I stand by that. I'm a Christian now. I believe in God even more than ever. Piece of advice to you all: turn to Jesus Christ. He is the King. He is the Lord. Second thing, which I happen to think is really important, I said hard work. And I think it is really important. I think it is really important to be active, especially in order to feel alive. You have to be active in order to feel alive. Because if you're not active and if you're just consuming somebody else's dreams, if that makes sense, if you're just consuming somebody else's content, and if you're just consuming somebody else's material as a whole, it doesn't have to be videos necessary, it can also be some other sort of material. I feel like that you are using part of your energy for something which is not crucial to you. You're using part of your energy to something which isn't important to you. You're using part of your energy for something which is important to somebody else. So that's why I believe in action. I believe in raw action. I believe that that solves most of the problems we have. And then the last one, I said family and friends. It's really important to have a family which loves you. I believe that all the people listening to me are in that kind of situation. And if there were people listening to me who aren't in that kind of situation, I'm genuinely sorry for you guys. I wish you all the best. You deserve it. You're great people. So I want to say that to make it clear. But most of the people, most of the middle class people, most of the middle class teenagers were people who have a comfortable life, because that's the truth. And I think that most of you guys do start to find everything boring, other than making it with your friends, other than succeeding in doing something great and helping people. That's the way I feel like. And if I had to give a final answer to this whole video, which has been very different from the other ones, I feel like that this video could be either my worst one or my best one. I hope it is the second one. I hope it is the latter. I hope it is my best one, but it could also be my worst one. However, to finish this video off with an interesting sort of sentence, let's just say it in that way, I would say that what's really important is to take action and to create your destiny, to create your life. And it's really important that you are in a position where you're the one who's attacking. And I think that it's really important to have control. I do not believe in hoping that something happens and changes your life. I believe in you putting effort into changing your life and making it better. I believe in that sort of thing. I believe in taking action in that way, rather than think and hope that something external is going to happen upon you and is going to completely change your worldview and your situation. So I think that what's really important is to take action. Always try to take action. Live your life at the fullest. And I think that the list I made a couple of months ago is pretty accurate. And I think it will forever be accurate. So friends are really important. Your family is really important. God is really important. I believe that. And working hard and taking action is also very important. Action is the most powerful medicine in the world. As soon as you start taking action, you will see that things will start happening, and you will see that your life will get better. Trust me, that's something I happen to believe is true. Guys, final question to you all, especially to the teenagers who are listening to this. Are you also finding school to be fake and boring? And are you also having the kind of questions that I am having? Are you also asking yourself the kind of questions that I'm asking myself? Are you in that situation, or are you in a different one? I'm eager to listen to your stories. It's gonna be great, and hopefully loads of people comment under this video, because it would be really, really, really great. This was a different video from the other ones. It was a raw one. There's gonna be no editing whatsoever, because I want to test and I want to see whether I'm able to entertain people by just talking and just being there with no editing whatsoever. I know it's challenging, but if I did, I succeeded, and I would be really happy. Thank you for listening, and thank you for tuning in, and it's been great talking to you. Consider subscribing and consider supporting this channel, because the journey we will go through is going to be one of the greatest journeys in history. So I hope that you're part of it, and I would be really happy to have you in my journey. Now, I'm going to see you in the next days, probably tomorrow, with a new video about